You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. I'm your host, Monica Allen, and you're listening to a Boss Up Books segment. If you have been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you know that I love quotes. One of my favorites is this one by Dr. Seuss. The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Reading books opens your mind and teaches you things that you would often never know otherwise. Books can transport you to different places and times. I encourage you to never stop learning and thus never stop reading. This month's Boss Up pick is a great one. It is We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. First of all, I just love the title of this book. And I love Rachel's fire and passion in growing women and their wealth specifically. I can very much relate to Rachel. Growing up poor, not always being able to participate in all that I wanted or be able to afford many of the brand name items that were in style at the time. We also have in common the passion to build generational wealth, or legacy, as I like to call it. I definitely recommend you get Rachel's book and read it in its entirety. However, I will share with you the takeaways that left me inspired and ready to grow even more. The first one is, money is not about money. It is about what you do with it. Money gives you options. You can invoke change. In this country, money is the language. I love how Rachel explains if we want to move the needle in any area or support a specific cause, money is the way to do it. And I've mentioned this before. I think personally, gun laws will only change when the opposite side, opposite of the NRA, gets behind their cause with more money. Money is the American language. In Chapter 1, Rachel introduces thought work. This is the work we all have to do around our own mindset when it comes to money. The guilt we may feel for wanting to make more money, or even the guilt we feel around what we spend money on. I feel like Rachel is really working to get our minds right throughout this book. She goes on to emphasize that we have choices in our career, our partners, our friends, how we spend our time, and so much more. I think most of us know that we do have choices, but are often hesitant to move on them for our own good. It may negatively impact someone else. She talks about one of my favorite topics, delegating. Delegating out those things that you're not great at, you don't like doing, you don't have time to do, or you could be using your time elsewhere. If you want to hear my thoughts specifically around this, check out episode 91 of the Become Your Own Boss podcast. I also enjoyed Rachel's discussion around doing friend reviews, environmental reviews. A friend review. Are your friends negative or supportive? An environmental review. How's your workspace? How's your home space? Looking at those things and making them be more positive around what you're trying to accomplish in life. And throughout the first half of this book, I love her many comparisons between a broke mindset and a millionaire mindset. This part alone will leave you rethinking some things. Rachel also goes on to discuss how your journey does not have to be lonely, and you can purposefully build your squad. I often say that entrepreneurship can be lonely, but if you are surrounded by the right people, it won't be, and you'll have a support system. As a woman, this book will leave you feeling empowered and as if you can conquer the world. And like Rachel, I believe you can. Towards the end of the book, Rachel proposes what she calls a 10K challenge. Rachel charges us to make 10K or $10,000 in 10 days. I love this challenge because it got my mind to racing. How could I make just $1,000 per day for the next 10 days? It propelled me to launch a new marketing campaign, and I don't typically do the marketing in our company. This was fun for me, even though our company often makes more than $10,000 in 10 days. I wanted to challenge myself to do this because during the summers, we're typically slower. And so this past week has been a lot of fun to watch the numbers roll up. And at the end of the book, she gives us 100 reasons we should all be millionaires. This was exciting to just listen to her roll through these 100 things. I absolutely loved it. Rachel specifically speaks more towards women of color. However, I recommend this book for all women. I am going to allow my daughter to read this book when she's about 15 or 16. There's a few too many curse words in it for me to let her listen right now at the age of 12, but I have already shared with her the premise of the book. I have read this book twice now, and as I mentioned before, I feel like Rachel and I have a lot in common, and this book made me think about how I have done it. How have we managed to build a 7-figure business? This is how I have done it personally. 1, surround yourself with the right people. What does right mean? It means people who are supportive, positive, and encouraging. Get rid of the negative Nancys and Nelsons. They are not there to help you. Back in college, I went through a phase where I was kind of surrounded by some negative energy. And at that point, I decided I just don't do negative in my life. I'm no longer going to do that because it's draining. And so get rid of the negative. 2, never stop learning. Reading, attending seminars, conferences, listening to podcasts, etc. Also, business lessons are everywhere. I learn from other businesses and in my travels on a regular basis. 3, exercising and eating healthy. When you do this, you just feel better about yourself. You feel like you can accomplish anything. You feel mentally and physically stronger. 4, have a give it a go mindset. Meaning, if you want to do something, you give yourself permission to at least try and not talk yourself out of it before you even get started. And lastly, have a vision. Set and write down goals. Writing down my goals over the years have been the key for me. This was a practice I started in college thanks to my graduate advisor, who was my boss at the time when I was a resident assistant. I have been able to accomplish things that I never saw myself doing years ago. But setting goals for myself on a yearly and monthly basis ensures that I get things done. I want to thank Rachel for writing this book and encouraging every woman from every walk of life to change her world and community by becoming a millionaire. I am so proud of the women who have led the way and the women who are pushing towards that goal. If you want to get a fire lit under you, pick up Rachel's book. This Boss Up Books segment is brought to you by Trifecta Group Coaching. Speaking of powerhouse women, Trifecta Group Coaching is a coaching program unlike any other, with a focus on overall business strategy with myself, marketing strategy with Kelly Hackney, and social media growth and engagement with Monica Van Landingham. We are set on propelling your business forward. You can find out more information about our group coaching program at trifectagroupcoaching.com. Again, that's trifectagroupcoaching.com. Thanks for joining me for this Boss Up Books episode. You can see the link in my show notes to Rachel's book. Happy reading, everybody.